Hi, and welcome to another Community Connect podcast for 2026. We've got a cool podcast on the cards today. We're talking to Mark Talbot, who rode 1,000 kilometres as part of the Tuatara 1,000 bike packing adventure a week or two ago. We're going to talk to him about headwinds, bike packing, adventuring, pushing the boundaries, and what that was all about. A few things to learn along the way as part of that as well. Basically, this podcast is a great way to connect with our amazing people doing some pretty cool stuff. So I think there's lots of chances to share and learn, which is pretty awesome. But before we get to that, I've got the pleasure to welcome Tim Hanson, one of our esteemed coaching crew on the cards, beaming in from Auckland. How are you getting on today, Tim?
Yeah, good, Rich. Morning, everyone. Feeling good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Hey, how are you getting on? It's been a little while since we caught up on the podcast platform for a while. How was your summer?
Summer was an interesting one. Obviously busy with training or coaching lots of clients for various races and stuff like that. So it has been a busy time. But for me personally, I had a bit of disappointment actually. Like I was training for Challenge Wanaka, so wanted to get back into the triathlon scene. It's been a while since I've been towing the start line on the in the tri scene, and pulled up lame a week before. My knee is no good. So I had an MRI on that this week actually, and I'm going to see a specialist next week. But it sounds like there is a bit of a tear in there, so there might be a bit of downtime for me coming up, which is a bit of a shame. So I was pretty bummed out to be standing in Wanaka, which I love. But it was the one place in the world I didn't want to be at the time because I was on the sideline. I wasn't racing. So, but look, still good to be down there and sort of seeing everyone have a good time and stuff. But I was like, I just had to bottle up this frustration and save that for, I don't know, I'll return there in a few years' time, I'd say. It's a bit frustrating, mate, but it's all part of the game, isn't it?
Didn't consider putting ball bearings, potentially some broken bottles or road spikes out on the road. So if you can't do it, no one can.
I think I may have mentioned that I was going to throw some road spikes out there, but I don't think everyone would have been too happy because it looked like a lot of fun out there. So,
that's right.
Thought about it though. Thought about it.
Just went in and out. Let that one go back to the keeper. We won't act on that thought, but oh gosh, tough when you can't be involved, when you've planned to be involved, when you've travelled down there, and it just doesn't work out. And I mean, it just does happen sometimes. And hopefully had a good time away down south anyway as part of it, eh?
Yep, absolutely. No, it's still a beautiful part of the world down there, and we spent a week down there, and Mum and Dad were visiting as well. So, no, we still had a great time. So I was just a little bit quiet for a couple of days while the race was happening and the race vibes were happening. But after that sort of was all finished, it was all good. So it's all nice. Good. Yeah. And
we also had the pleasure of having you on board our support crew team as well, as part of our travelling circus, as part of the Coast to Coast with our 40-odd athletes that we're doing support crew service for as part of that. How did you find that? You've done the longest day yourself. You've done the 2-day. You've been involved in it in the past. How was it from the other side, the view from the other side of the fence?
Yeah, really good to get to experience it actually, because the years that I've been, racing it, my crew have always given me a bit of stick to say, oh, you don't know how hard it is. Like there's lots of things we need to do. We're so stressed out. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, cool. And then you do it and it's full on, quite incredible. And I guess, when you've got 40 athletes or something that you're supporting, that's quite a bit of scale, right? Like it's lots of people, that's lots of bags, it's lots of gear, that's a highly emotive couple of days as well, as you know. So to put all those things in together, and it's quite the experience. So but I had a blast though. I was through everything and us, didn't it, with the weather on day one in particular. So we had to sort of change things up a bit there, but look, met some awesome people, got some great memories, and I'd definitely do it again. But I mean, kudos to Sandra and the crew with what they do there. Like that's incredible, that service. So there's just so much work that goes into it. So they're a well-oiled machine. They're really, really cool.
Yeah, just like the event, it's about being prepared, isn't it? Getting organised, making sure people know what's happening and the communication's clear, etc. And we know what we're doing beforehand. So just like your race plan, you're looking to execute that bit by bit. So yeah, cool to have you as part of that and it's great to have someone like yourself with the experience of the event to help people out from the other side of the fence as well. And that was part of the reason why that whole weekend was so successful from a TeamCPNZ point of view.
Yeah, and it's really cool to sort of have those little conversations with people. Like I would have spoken to a majority of those 40 people, just having different conversations around different strategies and what do we do at this point and that, one point or the other. So no, it was really, really cool. So, and we had lots of success, right? I think, yeah, almost like a clean slate, wasn't it, with that group? So it's all good.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, it doesn't normally happen that way.
No.
So that was pretty amazing. And then obviously the other part of it, from a coaching perspective, you're down there and you've got some cool people to cheer on across finish lines as well. How did that go for you with your people?
Yeah, that was the extra layer of awesomeness that went with it, right? Because I'd be helping out from a crewing standpoint, and then one of my athletes would run past and give them a bit of a high five on the way past. So it was just the best of both worlds. So it was really cool didn't catch up with everyone, which it just happens, right? You get caught up, but I've got to catch up with most people that I work with. So and you don't sort of meet people face to face too often. If I'm based up in Auckland, so there's people right across the country and Australia. So it's just cool to sit down with them and a bit of chat. So very, very cool.
Yeah, good to connect. We've got a big weekend on here at TeamCP. I've absolutely fizzing. I sent a message out. We've got our Backroad 2026 Backroad bike packing trip on. We've got a bit of a WhatsApp chat going on, and I put a message up on this morning. Basically, how are you feeling about our bike packing trip? And there's 4 options. Absolutely fizzing. Feels like new bike day today. Option A ×2. Option B. Option A ×8, option A ×1 billion. Yeehaw, thanks very much. I couldn't actually come up with any other options, so I just went with that. Pretty excited for the next couple of days ahead of us, heading down to Tekapo, Twizel, Ohau, Kurau, and back to Tekapo again.
Yeah, awesome. And how many years have we been doing this for, Rich?
I guess I've been doing a sort of bike packing trip with a few mates for a while. A couple of years ago, we run a Northland trip as a bit of a recce. Hey, we're going to do this. Does anyone else want to come along? We had, I can't remember, maybe 15 of us, something like that. And it was super cool over 4 days. I think we'll have to go back there because I actually got sick and wasn't able to finish it. But that was super fun. So we're like, actually, let's bring this to the wider community of Team CP. So that's what this trip's about. So Day 1, Tekapo to Ohau with this bakery stop at Twizel. Day 2 will be Ohau to Kurau on the Alps to Ocean Trail, which would be super fun. Track that I haven't ridden before. So new trail day is probably just slightly less than new bike day. So pretty looking forward to that. And then we're going off the beaten track, off the Alps to Ocean, to head back over the Hakateramira Pass and back to Tekapo to make a big triangle and finishing there. So again, another route that I haven't ridden before. So that'll be pretty fun. We've got 25 people on board, so we're full of what we wanted to do for this trip. So pretty excited to go and just spend a few days with those people, like you mentioned, connect with people that we work with and coach with and part of our community, and go and have a few days of adventuring.
Yeah, awesome. And who's it for? Who's this in particular? These Backroad adventures. Who are that sort of geared towards? Is it people of all capabilities and all levels, or what does that look like?
Yeah, good question. So first of all, you don't have to be coached by Team CP. We've got this person bring their friend along and husbands and partners and things coming along as well. So anybody can get involved. So that's the first part of it. The other side of it is as part of it, we want to make it accessible to people. We're riding about 100 Ks a day, which sounds a lot, but we've got the whole day to do it. So over 3 days, so about the same amount at about 1,000 vertical meters of climbing. So that's enough. But for some that could be pretty hefty. We've also got a couple of vehicles for support as well. So if 100 Ks is fine until you get a headwind. And when we talk to Mark shortly in regards to his trip down Southland, 9 Ks an hour hanging into a gale force northwest headwind, that doesn't get very exciting. So we've got a couple of vehicles as support. So you could ride the first half of the day and then maybe leap forward, or just ride the second half of the day and finish off with the crew. So you can. One thing we really try to do with all our group sessions and the work that we do is to try and make it accessible and challenge people to the level that they want to. So we've also got a couple of wee detours if people want to extend themselves a little bit as well. So yeah, pretty much anyone. We've got a couple of people on e-bikes as well. Happy days. It just means that it's accessible to go and be part of the adventure with everyone.
Yeah, nice. And yeah, actually reminded me, like, there's a lot of people I met at Coast to Coast that were crewing for their partners, and towards the end of day two, they're like, oh, maybe I'm interested in doing something like this, or having a bit of a dabble in a kayak or a bike ride. So there you go. This is a good example. If you want to get involved, you can get a few couples on this one, eh?
Yeah, which is really, really fun. It's good. Good to just as a couple to do stuff together, and you're sort of having same conversations and pulling in the same direction, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And the other one that we've got coming up is our adventure squad. Again, community, getting people together. Maybe doing something you haven't necessarily done before, or bigger, or even just actually as a bit of a way to organise your training across the winter, which I've found has been pretty useful. But yeah, head to Arthur's Pass, Lewis Pass, Canterbury Foothills. Again, we've got 3 different groups of a little bit crazy, probably won't stop for lunch. That's my group, and the only reason we won't stop for lunch as much is because we're probably bitten off too much and we don't want to be late back home again.
That's usually what happens with you lot, isn't it?
Yeah, the second, which I think you've been part of that group as well before, Tim. The second group, a little bit down from that, a little bit of jogging here and there, and the third group is pretty much a walk group. And the line we say is, can you walk up a hill without stopping? It doesn't have to be a steep hill, but just can you kind of keep moving forward? And definitely stop at the top of the hill for a view and enjoy some snacks and a sandwich or two. Nice. That's coming up. So we've got people coming from Australia, North Island, all over the place to come and be involved in that. We've got one every 6 weeks, basically across winter. So if you'd like to be part of that, that'd be pretty cool to share a few adventures with everyone.
Yeah, have we got capacity there, Rich, for more people to come?
Yeah, there is. Yep, we're probably over half full. We've got maybe another 10 spots or something available. So there's a bit of capacity there. So but don't wait, leave it too long, I'd say.
Yeah, and from a location standpoint, you mentioned the general region, but haven't locked in exactly where you're going for this first one coming up? Or
I've got about 5 ideas.
You keep it, you hold your cards close, Rich, don't you?
Well, the reason for that is that I don't think we've ever done a first idea. So, like, it's the beauty of it is we can be flexible based on what the weather's doing and what river levels are doing and all those sorts of things. So it means that we can just pivot and figure it out to make sure that we have the best adventure we can. Like last year, we went over to the West Coast twice, virtually up to the Carroll Hut and the Carroll Tops, up the river up there. So because there was heaps of snow on the east side. And then the final adventure was up Woolshed Hill. So, and in the past we've gone to as I say, Mount Somers through to Lewis Pass, Boar River sort of direction. So we'll just see what it comes up with. But got some ideas, and there's only me and Steph that have done all of them, and we'll make sure that we do go somewhere different each time as well, just to keep it interesting.
Yeah, nice one. And I have come down the last couple of years, and I can say that they are really enjoyable. And there is different groups, right? So it does, and again, another great adventure, great day out that can cater for all sort of levels, right? And it's a pretty friendly bunch with a competition at the end and some baking, I believe. Is that still happening?
Baking, that's part of the reason why Steph has to come, because her baking's amazing. Her carrot cake and her crunchy bar slice, I generally try and sort of siphon a couple of bits off for the drive home as well. So it's often challenging for tea because you're so full from the baking at the end. That you're sort of
there is lots of baking, guys. I'm telling you right now that you will not go short on anything. So that's a good motivation to get you going.
Nice.
So
nice to have that shared food and a hot drink sort of at the end when we get back to the vehicles. And it's always quite fun to see who can touch the car first when you get to the finish line.
Yeah, awesome. So, nice one.
Yeah, nice work. And you've got some pretty exciting news potentially to share as well, Tim, coming up in the next little while.
Yes, we do. Like me and my wife Michelle are expecting a baby boy in the end of June. So we are really, really excited for that. It's a little TeamCPNZ in the making, future TeamCPNZ. So that's really, really exciting. So really cool.
Oh, congratulations, Tim. It's a big life change. It's a super cool adventure to be that's in front of you. So looking forward to maybe sharing the odd dad tip here and there. They've got a few.
Yeah, you're a really good mentor for me in this space, Rich. So lots of experience in your family. So and I guess it'll be good for me in my coaching as well, because I'll be able to understand what all these people that I coach, what they're going through with their kids. So there you go. I'll learn that as well. So
what sleep deprivation is really like. I do think that after having kids, like if I was to do another adventure race, that it'd be easy. Sleep deprivation across months is a different story. So how are you managing yourself to that?
Yeah. And what do you mean I can't just open the door on a Saturday morning and go for a bike ride for 3 or 4 hours? What do you mean I have to do something else? So yeah.
Just leaving the house is a challenge. Like just walking out of the house. Like, oh my gosh, I could just walk out of the house.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But no, we're up for it. So no, we're really pumped with that one. So that's really cool.
Nice. Oh, congratulations. That's super fun. I'm stoked for you guys. So well, let's crack on. We've got Mark sitting in the background. So let's pull him onto the chat, and we'll hopefully everyone's enjoying their week, and we'll look forward to catching up with everyone soon. Right, team, I'm here with Mark Talbot. Mark is a local from Geraldine, and he has just got back from a massive mission riding around Southland, effectively, the whole of Southland over last week. Mark, how are you feeling sort of a week later as we speak today?
Oh, pretty good a week later. So a little bit tired at the start of the week, but yeah, it was sensible, took a week off the bike really, and we're close to it. I think I needed it after 7 straight days slogging away. So, but yeah, body's washed up well. I think, just didn't. I mean, there were big days, but didn't go hard out all day. So, seemed to have survived okay.
You didn't go hard out all the time, but I feel like there's some hard that we're going to have a bit of a chat about. So, tell us about your ride. What have you done? What was the ride, and what was your route?
So I did the Tuatara 1000, also known as a journey around Southland, according to Andy, who organised it. So yeah, great way to see Southland. Lots of back roads. Started in Gore, and you could choose either anti-clockwise or clockwise. We went clockwise, trying to beat the wind and the weather, but we kind of got that wrong. I think everyone did at the start anyway. But yeah, headed out towards the peninsula on Dunedin and down the coast and around the Catlins, back out through Riverton and up towards Tiana. It was great, good way to see a lot of the back roads of Southland that you would never see on your normal journey to the south, I suppose. So,
yeah, good. And was this in terms of your how many days were you riding? Who were you riding with? Were you supported or unsupported? How did the logistics of it all go?
So unsupported, we just basically aimed to stay in tents as much as possible, but it ended up being about a 50-50. Left with a group of 7 of us, and then unfortunately someone had to go home for personal reasons. But so 6 of us battled away for the week, it was. Actually, I forgot the point of the question. Actually.
Yeah. So logistics. So you had 6 of you riding, and you were staying in a tent, and you were carrying all your gear and your food with you.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, we were. So as much as possible, we tried to carry about 2 days, maybe three days tops worth of food at any one point. We knew there were places where we were going to be able to have a bit of luxury, pub meal on the way, or picking up food on the way. But there were certain parts of the ride that there weren't much of a resupply option. So, I ate a lot of muesli bars and snakes through the week, and I've had my lot of freeze dries for a wee while. So, but yeah, self-supported mostly, but
yeah. With a little bit extra things that you're buying along the way, which makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
But you're carrying all your own gear. You got no one else to do that for you. You're filling up your own drink bottles and all that sort of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about nutrition. What did you do for that? Did you have a kind of take enough stuff for breakfast or pick up stuff? What was generally your breakfast? What was generally your lunch? And I guess freeze-dried? Like how many of those did you pack at the start? Because it's not necessarily something you can pick up halfway around.
Yeah, there was that concern. Like I only packed, lots of ready oats and I think 3 freeze-dried meals, because we made the assumption that supermarkets are getting quite good at stocking that these days. So so we managed, and we knew there were some points where we would have a pub meal instead of a freeze-dried, so speed things out. But yeah, carrying, at one point I might have had 4 freeze-dried squeezed into my frame bag and plenty of oats. So oats for breakfast, bit of hot chocolate. And then we would hopefully stop for some nutrition at a dairy somewhere, a bit of chocolate milk, or lots of OSM bars, NM's power bars, or NM's bites. And I ate snakes. So it was surprising. I thought I was going to go through. I only went through 2 bags of snakes a week, but I felt like I ate them nonstop all week long. So it was a pretty sort of rinse and repeat all week. A couple of different boozy bars I like as well, but and the trick was just to keep eating all day long. So it's the old classic. You even go for a 3-hour ride, you want to keep eating, but on a day like that, I just made sure I was eating regularly all day long. So
good stuff. Nutrition, it's all about having a treat or two, and when you're riding your bike all day, calories in is probably more is what you're aiming for, so the more the merrier. Were there a custard square sort of sampled along the way, or was some key delicacies of bakery products you went for? What was your highlight food item?
Probably a highlight was not eating freeze-dried, so anything that was all right. So as there was the odd steak on the way, a couple of evenings that we managed to stop by. A cold beer and steak helped, so that was a bit of luxury for a bike packing. But it was nothing, no custard squares in Southland, didn't see any. So
none.
So I'm sure maybe there was, but I didn't see any. But and not a lot of pies actually. There was the thought that you eat lots of pies, but it was sort of whatever was on the shelf and that I could squeeze into my frame bag to carry on riding really. So, but chocolate milk was great. Good quality chocolate milk. I thought made a good difference.
Okay, well, that's interesting. We need to, for those that are local, that are listening to this down in Southland, they need to let us know on the feedback on, are there custard squares in Southland? Do they exist?
Yeah.
And what's the situation with flies down there?
Yeah.
Where are they? We need to maybe put that, talk to Andy about putting that into the route.
Yeah, yes, we need some markers for them.
Yeah, good stuff. So, more back to the route. So you're bike packing. Tell us about your average day. What are you? How far are you going? How much climbing you're doing? How long are you out there for?
So we sort of tried to. We wanted to do it in 7 days, and so we figured we need to average 150 k's a day, which we didn't do some days. Hence, we ended up short coursing a couple of little bits to get home in 7 days. But biggest day was about 165, and the smallest was about 115. But kind of up around 2,000 metres some days, but it seemed to be at least 1,500 on average. There was one flat day between Fort Rose and Riverton, and we only did about 400 metres of climbing. It felt like it was dead flat all day. So, but otherwise, pretty lumpy around the backs of the back blocks of Southland, and we try and be on the road by 7 a.m. and but some days, depending on how many mechanicals or how long we stop for lunch, we sometimes weren't getting in until 8 o'clock at night. So some are a bit earlier finishes, but it really depended on the day. But traveling with a group of 6, we were there was a bit of waiting around for people with mechanicals, or it was probably drawn out the day maybe a little bit more, but it was a good laugh.
Yeah, that's right. That is big days, is it, to get home quite late in the day for that?
Yeah.
And I guess that's the nature of the challenge that you guys set yourself for. They are big days, and it is also challenging when you've got so many people. But as you say, good bit of banter, a bit of fun with a bunch of personalities, I'd imagine.
Yeah, no, it was good. And, like every day different. Some days the average speed was 15 k's an hour. The best day we got just about knocked on 20 k's an hour. So it varied. So there was a lot of stopping and starting, but so it was a day on the bike every day for sure.
Yeah. In Kiwi, it's not particularly flat. The hill meters are challenging, but we do have wind. I hear a rumour there's also a bit of wind in Southland. Was that true?
There's plenty of wind in Southland, and it's not a gentle breeze, I've discovered. Well, it wasn't last week anyway. So we did cop a bit of average weather. The first few days we didn't take the rain jackets off very often, and it was sort of a howling southwest. Up on the peninsula, it was blowing us off our bikes. So it was just trying to stay on your bike and not get blown into a car was one of those challenges. And then end of the week was the same, but it was northwest and 30 degrees. So
right.
Yeah, so plenty of wind. It's made me appreciate those days without wind, I can tell you.
To the point of before we come online just now, you were like, I was about to go for a ride, but it turns out it's windy inside, so I'm actually just going to go in a non-windy ride, which is on my trainer. So pretty keen not to do too much wind for a little while.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to avoid wind. So I got my fix for it last week. And I like riding my bike, but I decided I don't like riding my bike in howling wind.
You go groveling. I think you mentioned that you were traveling like 9 k's an hour or something like that. Just sort of, that's pretty slow on your bike. Like that's just trying to stay upright.
Yeah, that was 9 k's an hour and getting blown off your bike, and we knew we had quite a long way to go. So it's a bit of a bit of a mental game when you know you've still got a long way to go at that speed. So and that's the thing I found with bikepacking. You knew you had to go from A to B that day. So no matter what the weather was doing, you kind of just had to keep chipping away.
Well, we've got a bike trip next week, and basically I've just got sunshine and fairies in my brain. I didn't think about wind. I didn't think about rain.
Yes, that's what I was like about a week and a half ago too.
Okay, that's going to be interesting. It's let's not talk too much about headwinds. I think we'll just move on from that question. How did you prepare? How did you prepare, and how did you find your sort of fitness and strength and ability to complete the ride? Tell us a bit about that.
I've just been working, working with you for the last year or so. So my fitness has got better and better all year long. So I felt like I had a pretty good base anyway. I know it's pretty hard to train for something like this, I suppose. But if you just learn how to ride for a long time, but you're not going out for an hour and a half sprint, put it that way. So if you've got a good base of fitness, anyone can probably do it. You've just got to, when you start the day, just start gentle. Just keep reminding yourself you've got a long way to go. It's not like, as say, if you're going out for a quick fang around the block, you kind of give it a bit of gas, but there was no intentionally giving it any gas last week. You just had to just keep spinning, keep the wheels moving. So your fitness-wise, it was just a matter of just building up over the year, really. And I mean, there's a few other events I've done to get fit for, but it's just if you've been riding regularly, I guess it's getting your rear end into shape too. If you know you're going to sit in the saddle for that long, you want to make sure you think you can sit in the saddle for that long. So otherwise it becomes a long week. So
yes. That's a great tip. And you did also do a couple of kind of practice rides, like putting a few days together as well, packing your bike up beforehand, make sure that all felt good as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that's really important. I think like there's always go around and your head's down in the garage thinking, should I take this or should I take that, or is that going to fit in? And until you've been out for a couple of even just an overnight trip just to get a bit of a dry run, it was really helpful. You don't have to go far. You can just go up the road and put your tent up and get the cooker out. But you start to work out what you should take and what you shouldn't take. I probably learned a bit more over the week on a few little sort of tricks on tools and or parts and things that we should take. Broke a couple of spokes through the week, and gingerly watched my back wheel slowly but surely get more crooked by the end of the week. So if I had, it's pretty hard on a bikepacking trip. It's pretty hard to get some of that fixed. Most bike shops are pretty busy. So if you knew how to put a spoke in, or taking like a spare spoke, or someone lost a bolt out of their cleats, and and someone had taken a spare bolt in the group. So I thought that was all those little tiny things that can get you out of a jam in the middle of nowhere. So
so spare spoke is what you'd pack next time, and also maybe do a lesson on how to put a spoke in.
Yes, work out how to do that. Take a spare cleat for your shoe, or even just the bolts for the cleats. So that's. Someone else's crank fell off at one point. You can't go prepared for that, but we managed to get it back on the side of the road, and it lasted for another day or two. So, there was all sorts of bits and pieces, but anything you can pack in for your tools that packs down small. You're limited on space, and you don't want to be too much weight. So you got to be smart about those things. But some of those little things can definitely get you out of a jam.
One trip we went on, we were on a hunting trip, and my brother took his bike that was kind of his round town sort of, it's been in the shed for a while type bike, but both of his cranks fell off. No, his pedals fell off. Pedals. This was after like 30 minutes. So we're sort of, we're out riding the Poulter actually up towards the Mount White Bridge there, and we ended up just ditching the pedals because we couldn't, the whole thing was threaded, so we ended up having a runner bike for 2 days. So I'm pleased you didn't have to go run a bike action, put the seat down and run along.
Would have got on a bus and come home if that was the case, if we had no pedals. So.
Yeah, I would have cheered you on to do the runner bike, but maybe it would be almost better into the wind. Might be a better option.
Yes, yeah. I definitely enjoyed a little bit of tailwind when we had it, but yeah, just, going prepared and, it's not only tools and stuff, but it's good to do a dry run and work out all the little bits and pieces that can make life as comfortable as possible without going over the top, because I definitely felt like my bike was possibly lighter than some of the others, and we had plenty of hills, so you want to the less is best, but you don't want to also wish you'd brought something when you're in the middle of nowhere.
That's right. What's your bottom line? And that's what, as you said, part of that, packing your gear up, doing an overnighter or just up the road, actually figuring out what you do actually use and what you don't actually need, because usually we always overcook that. What are some highlights of the trip? It all sounds reasonably challenging so far with mechanicals and headwinds and bits and pieces like that, but I'm sure you had some sunny days, some tailwinds and some brilliant views. Tell us of a few sort of key highlights of your week riding around Southland.
I definitely had a handful of cracker days, and it makes you realise how nice it is to ride a bike on a nice day. And but just saw some really cool countryside that you wouldn't see otherwise. Right out around the peninsula, it's not something. Some of those back roads you wouldn't necessarily. You'd have to have a reason to go out there, and even down the coast and through the and the route took us a lot of side roads and stuff that places you would never go to otherwise. So it was pretty cool to see a part of the country that I hadn't seen, and just being on a bike for 7 days, even though there's a couple of days that were a little bit tough. It was cool to be able to just go and ride my bike for 7 days and be reasonably self-sufficient.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool, isn't it? Like, there's not often that we actually get the opportunity to do that for that length of time and put those days together. And it's pretty amazing how far you rode. Like, when you will piece it all together, that's like you can see the South Island in your map. Zoom, like from a Strava perspective. So yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to just have that time. Any real, like you talked about wind, but were there any really tough moments that you were questioning your life choices when you were like really battling along, and how did you get through that?
It was in the howling wind is when I had that moment, but it was just, you get a bit frustrated yourself. I may have cursed the wind a few times, just when it was gusty. 1 minute you thought you're good, the next minute it was trying to blow you off the bike. So, but it's one of those things that's why you're there to test yourself a wee bit, and you realise you got to get from A to B. So there's no point complaining about it too much. But it was, it does make you, it's good to test yourself like that and see what see that you're capable to do it, I suppose. So, I wouldn't want to do it every day, all day long, but I'm pleased. We had some challenging. We had the hot and windy, and the really cold and wet and windy, and it is kind of cool to be in the moment for a certain amount of time. It does expire quicker than a ride on a sunny day. But,
no, you've done well. This is a question that we look to try and throw at everybody on this podcast is this particular question here, the toast question. How toasted were you when you got to the end of day 7? Number 1 being I'm burnt, number 9 being just slightly toasted. Where were you? Sort of how cooked were you at the end of it?
Oh, geez. At one point, I think I was at 1 on that last day. There's a couple of moments, but I may have got back to Gore and probably number 2 and a bit, 2.5 maybe. But there was a couple of getting close to 1s, but didn't quite get to 1, but I was pretty damn close.
You were cycling between them, sort of, and then you're bringing yourself back a little bit. Stop for lunch can refresh you enough to sort of come back.
I was going to say a couple of snakes got me back on board, and then or a chocolate milk, and I was happy. I was back at 3.
Yeah. Maybe a custard square might have got you back to 4.5 potentially.
Yes, true. Yeah, I'll try that next time.
Yeah, put the word out early. Now, Mark, obviously this is a big trip for you, and you ticked that off, which was super cool. But last year worked towards the Waka 100 and did that. But you're sort of part of a pretty awesome cycling family. You've got a couple of very promising young cyclists in your family as well. Tell us about what's going on. You've been to the Tour of Southland. You're also heading up to Rotorua to the Nationals. One of your sons is away currently overseas. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there for you guys.
Boys are pretty keen on racing their bikes, any sort of road or mountain bikes. So, which has been a good motivation for me to pull my finger out and try and keep as close to them for as long as possible. Definitely not as the gap stretching all the time, but we spend a lot of time traipsing around the countryside with the boys. So up to Mountain Bike Nationals next week for Wilbur. He's racing his last year under 17. And he's pretty focused on that. And then we get back home from that. And a couple of weeks later, we go to Nelson for the age group road nationals. So there's it's good for me to be able to fit my 7 days of my own riding in, because there is a lot of traipse around the countryside, making sure boys are racing elsewhere too, which is, really enjoy it. It's pretty cool that I can be able to do that, and the boys love doing it. So, Oscar is over in France for 8 months, trying to live the dream and see how he stacks up against the other 10,000 fast cyclists in the world. So, pretty cool life experience for Oscar, and one less person I have to traipse around the countryside for this year and go to bike events with.
Good stuff. And how's he going so far? How long's he been over there for so far, and how's he getting on? Obviously, it's still wintering, coming into some spring. Yeah,
it's definitely been a few cold days. Like, he's been there about a month. He's settling in all right. He's living in an apartment with one other guy that doesn't really speak any English, and the French team. Everyone on the team is French. They do speak some English, but he's a pretty easygoing sort of guy, and he's just taking it on the chin and loving it. I think he's just really motivated to try and make a go of cycling, and he's sending us videos of riding in the French countryside every day, and it's good. He's only 18 and he's living over there by himself, looking at cooking his own food, and all he's got to do is eat, sleep, and ride his bike. So it's pretty cool opportunity. So he's there until October, and have got some really cool high-level races that they'll do and have done. So he hasn't had a great start. He got sick when he got there, and first two races had a mechanical in each one. So he has had one race that he wasn't sick, and he didn't get a mechanical and finished reasonably far up the field, all things considered. So pretty amazing experience for someone at that age. So chasing the dream.
Yeah, that's good, because you were over in France with him last year, riding your mountain bike.
Yes, we went to Switzerland for 3 weeks last year, and he was racing at the mountain bike world champs. So that was another amazing experience for him, and I also that was a bit of a dream trip for me too. It wasn't just a trip to Rotorua was actually just as good as Switzerland, to be fair, but it was pretty cool to be in Switzerland and ride our bikes there for 3 weeks. So that was a really cool experience. But he's hung the mountain bike up this year to try and focus on the road bike and see what happens there. So so watch the space.
Good stuff. That's awesome. So Oscar and Wilbur Talbot will need to keep an eye out for those names around the place.
Let's hope so.
That's good. So you're off to Rotorua next week for the Mountain Bike Nationals, and does your bike get to be packed as well?
Sure does. Goes on all the trips. So that's sort of, sometimes it becomes a bit of a logistical headache, but I'm working out in my head how I can take everything I need for him, plus my bike and some clothes to survive for a few days. So and hopefully it all gets on the plane. That's the other, got to get to Rotorua. So, definitely my bike goes to, it's a good, I get to ride my bike all over the place when you're doing that sort of stuff. So that's pretty cool.
It's a good excuse to be able to have to ride your bike in some different places, and you'll have Nelson as well to go and ride too. So what's your plan for the year ahead, Mark? You've just ticked this Tuatara 1000 off. What's coming up for the rest of the year for you?
Looking at having a crack at the Lake Brunner. There's a gravel version of the lake. Never been over there to do the Brunner race, but there's a new, or maybe it's the second year gravel race, but a good loop around Brunner there somewhere. So that's start of May. So looking forward to that. And then we have a pretty good winter series down here in South Canterbury, so bit of casual Saturday road racing and Twizel to Timaru at the end of winter, maybe, hopefully. And
quickly, just on that, like not many people know about the Twizel to Timaru event. Just quickly describe that one for us as a South Canterbury road
it's all part of. So South Canterbury Cycling run a really great winter program down here. I think it's about 26 weekends in a row, and they start small. So the first races are kind of 40k races, and they're all graded and all handicapped, and all sorts of shapes and sizes turn up to it. And then through the winter, we build up. The races get longer and longer, and the last race of the season is Twizel to Timaru. I think it's the first or second weekend of September. Yep. And it starts in Twizel and into Timaru, handicapped race. So there's been a few people win it on the handicap before and things, and it's a pretty cool race. And again, can be a bit windy. I've never done it, but so it's been on the bucket list. But really, if you're into a good road ride with not very often you get to ride that road with a bit of traffic management and not get hammered by too many tourists. So definitely worth a look if someone's 150 k's, mostly downhill, sort of uphill to Tekapo, and then sort of gradual downhill into Timaru from there. So a good day out if anyone's interested.
We need to have a quick shout out. I think I'm 95% sure that Amy Stewart, who's a TeamCPNZ athlete that I've coached for a few years, actually on the handicap won last year. First across the line, I think. So I might be completely making that up, but I'm pretty sure that that's what happened last year. So that's pretty cool. But so can anybody enter these races or the Twizel to Timaru race? How does that work?
I believe so. Like it's I'm pretty sure there's no reason why anyone couldn't enter it. So, and they're always looking for, the bigger the numbers, the better. And, any of these races, the more numbers, the more likely it's going to run again the next year. So, they definitely, I always get a good turnout from the South Canterbury Club, but lots of riders do come down from Christchurch and all over the place. So, even on the weekend races, we get quite a few riders out of Christchurch sometimes. So, it's always a Saturday afternoon. So, anyone looking for something to do on a Saturday afternoon in winter, there's usually a race on down here.
Yeah, great. I've done a few races down in Timaru. It's very honest. It's pretty lumpy down the back of Timaru, so that definitely keeps you honest. But good just to turn up and do a race. And you don't have to do one like the big races. There's, like as I say, Twizel Timaru. How good. Like a lot of people, as I said, don't even know that's on the calendar. So that, and then what else? Anything for the rest of the year for you?
Then looking at the race in Hamner at the end of the year, start of December. I think it's all tied up with the New Zealand Marathon national champs and things like that, but it's just a weekend out of I can't remember the full stats, but it's based out of Hamner. I think it heads out around St James a wee bit and back again, but a single track and it's maybe a revived event. I don't think it's been down there before, but as far as I know, but well, maybe it has in the past. You probably know more about that, but yeah, good mountain bike race, worth a look, I'd say. So I'm going to give that a crack. I think it's set up.
Need to find out more about that, actually. Belinda, who organises the Waka 100, is sort of involved in that event, I think. So we will find out more about that and sort of, it'd be a good local event to go and challenge yourself with, riding a bunch of single track and challenging yourself as well. So, I like the sound of that as well. So,
yeah. I think it's 100k plus or something like that, so it'll be good honest day out as well. So so definitely that's the other one on the calendar, and not sure what else, but maybe a bit of bike packing, maybe not 7 days long, but maybe a 3 or 4 day bike packing trip somewhere. But we'll watch the space.
Well done. Hey, thank you so much for joining us, Mark. It's great to kind of get a bit of an insight about what the Tuatara 1000 was like, how you went, what you learnt, what the tough bits were. Good to see you're pretty toasted by the end of it. There was a solid effort gone in as well, and also good to hear that you might want to do another one rather than never ever again. That's always a good positive sign that it went all right. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, definitely do it again, but just not just yet.
Give yourself a day or two riding without any wind. Just turn that fan down. Not too much fan action on the indoor trainer in the next day or two.
Exactly.
Yeah, well done. Awesome, Mark. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Thanks. Very good. Cheers.
Cheers, Mark.